Have you ever watched someone laugh at a person they believed was a complete nobody, only to discover they had been standing in front of unimaginable power all along? What if the greatest fortune in the world belonged to a man who never cared about luxury, never revealed his identity, and quietly accepted years of disrespect from the people closest to him? Stay with me, because this story begins with humiliation, but every word spoken in arrogance will eventually come back with consequences no one expects. Ethan Carter had spent nearly 8 years living a life that looked completely ordinary to everyone around him. Every weekday he woke before sunrise, made his own breakfast, poured coffee into a worn travel mug, and drove an old pickup truck to the community housing complex where he worked as a maintenance supervisor. His clothes were simple, his watch was inexpensive, and nothing about his appearance hinted at extraordinary success. His co-workers respected him because he was dependable, patient, and willing to handle the hardest jobs without complaint. Whether it was repairing broken plumbing, fixing electrical problems, or helping an elderly resident carry groceries upstairs, Ethan treated every task with the same level of care. He never tried to impress anyone with expensive possessions or stories about achievement. Most people assumed he was just another hard-working man trying to build a modest life. Even his wife, Victoria, believed he lacked ambition because he never chased promotions, luxury cars, or a larger house. She often compared him to wealthy businessmen. She followed on social media and wondered why her husband seemed satisfied with such an average existence. What no one realized was that Ethan's simple lifestyle had been a deliberate choice. Years earlier, his grandfather, the legendary founder of Carter Global Consortium, had rewritten his will before passing away. Instead of immediately handing over control of the family's vast fortune, he placed one unusual condition on Ethan's inheritance. Ethan had to spend several years living as an ordinary citizen, earning his own paycheck, paying his own bills, and experiencing life without relying on the family's unimaginable wealth. His grandfather believed that true leadership could never be learned inside private jets or luxury boardrooms. A man responsible for guiding one of the world's largest business empires first needed to understand the struggles, hopes, and daily realities of ordinary people. Ethan accepted the challenge without hesitation, while thousands of executives across the globe quietly managed Carter Global's trillion-dollar network of technology companies, banks, shipping corporations, renewable energy firms, pharmaceutical laboratories, luxury hotels, and international investment groups. Only a small circle of trusted board members knew the identity of the true owner. Every important corporate decision still required Ethan's approval. But those approvals happened quietly through encrypted video conferences held late at night after everyone around him had gone to sleep. To the outside world, he remained nothing more than a humble maintenance supervisor who preferred honest work over attention, never revealing that one signature from him could influence global markets, billion-dollar acquisitions, and the future of entire industries. Victoria's frustration with Ethan had been building for years, but it became impossible to ignore as her family's annual gatherings grew more extravagant. Her older brother Daniel had become a successful real estate developer. Her cousins proudly shared stories of luxury vacations and new business ventures, and every family celebration turned into an opportunity for everyone to compare achievements. Whenever Ethan arrived in his faded pickup truck wearing simple clothes, he immediately stood out among relatives, dressed in tailored suits, designer dresses, and expensive jewelry. Victoria hated the attention his appearance attracted and quietly asked him several times to rent a nicer vehicle or buy more fashionable clothes before family events. Ethan always smiled politely and reminded her that appearances were never as important as character, a response that only irritated her further. During her father's 70th birthday celebration at an elegant country club, the atmosphere quickly shifted from celebration to judgment. Conversations around the dinner table centered on investments, luxury properties, executive promotions, and stock market success. One by one, family members proudly described their accomplishments while complimenting one another's financial achievements. Eventually, someone turned toward Ethan and casually asked how his maintenance job was going. Ethan answered honestly that he enjoyed helping families keep their homes safe and comfortable. But his modest response became an easy target for ridicule. Daniel laughed loudly and joked that repairing broken pipes was hardly something to celebrate when everyone else was building companies or making millions. Several relatives joined in with sarcastic comments, suggesting Ethan should read business books or attend financial seminars if he ever wanted to improve his life. The laughter spread across the table, growing louder with every joke. Instead of defending her husband, Victoria forced a smile and added her own remark, calling Ethan an expert at remaining average. Her words drew even more laughter from relatives who began competing to invent new jokes about his career, old truck, and simple lifestyle. Some mocked the inexpensive watch on his wrist, while others questioned whether he had any real ambitions beyond fixing light bulbs and leaky faucets. Ethan remained calm throughout the insults, quietly listening without interrupting anyone or showing anger. He looked around the table at faces filled with amusement, realizing that not one person cared about the kindness, honesty, or loyalty he had shown throughout the years. The deepest wound did not come from Daniel's arrogance or the family's laughter, but from seeing Victoria laugh alongside them, choosing public approval over standing beside the man who had supported her through every challenge of their marriage. After leaving the family gathering, Ethan walked calmly through the quiet parking lot, while laughter from the ballroom echoed faintly behind him. His expression remained composed, but Victoria's words stayed in his mind more than anything her relatives had said. For years, he had accepted criticism with patience because he believed people could change when given enough understanding. That evening, however, he realized the time had come to fulfill the responsibility his grandfather had entrusted to him. Standing beneath the dim lights outside the country club, Ethan reached into his jacket and removed a secure satellite phone that had remained untouched for months. He dialed a private number known only to a handful of people within Carter Global Consortium. The call connected almost instantly. A familiar voice greeted him with respect, addressing him as Mr. Carter, before asking whether he was ready to proceed. Ethan answered with only a few calm words, confirming that he was officially accepting leadership of the organization. Within moments, confidential instructions began moving through encrypted networks connecting executive offices across North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Emergency board meetings were scheduled before sunrise, legal teams activated long-prepared succession documents, financial regulators received sealed notifications, and directors of hundreds of subsidiaries were informed that the founder's chosen successor had formally assumed command. Around the world, Executives who had spent years preparing for this day immediately paused ongoing negotiations to focus on the historic transition. Inside towering headquarters, senior leaders gathered in conference rooms where Ethan's portrait, previously kept confidential, was finally displayed as the official chairman of Carter Global Consortium. The organization controlled shipping fleets crossing international oceans, renewable energy facilities powering entire regions, global banking institutions, pharmaceutical research laboratories, advanced technology companies, luxury hotel chains, manufacturing corporations, private investment funds, and thousands of commercial properties spread across dozens of countries. Every major acquisition, strategic partnership, and long-term investment now required Ethan's direct approval. Before dawn, carefully coordinated press releases were prepared for financial news agencies, while television networks received invitations to a major corporate announcement. International markets began reacting even before the official statement was released, as rumors spread that the mysterious heir had finally stepped forward after years of complete anonymity. While global business leaders speculated about the identity of the new chairman, Ethan quietly returned to his modest home, parked his old pickup truck in the driveway, prepared a simple cup of coffee, and sat alone in silence, knowing that by the following morning the ordinary life he had carefully protected for nearly a decade would no longer remain hidden from the world. The following morning, financial news channels interrupted their regular programming with breaking reports that immediately captured worldwide attention. Anchors announced that the long-hidden heir to Carter Global Consortium had officially assumed control of the trillion-dollar business empire after years of complete anonymity. Investors, journalists, and industry leaders watched closely as the company's first public statement introduced its new chairman. Moments later, Ethan's photograph appeared on television screens, business websites, and the front pages of digital newspapers across the globe. He wore a simple gray suit with the same calm expression that had become familiar to everyone who knew him personally. There were no flashy accessories, no extravagant displays of wealth, and no dramatic speeches. Instead, the reports highlighted his reputation for humility, discipline, and quiet leadership. The news quickly spread through social media, reaching millions of people within hours. At home, Victoria stared at the television in complete disbelief. She replayed the broadcast repeatedly, convinced there had to be some mistake. The man identified as one of the most powerful business leaders in the world was the same husband she had mocked only days earlier for driving an old pickup truck and working as a maintenance supervisor. Her phone began ringing almost immediately as relatives, friends, neighbors, and co-workers called to confirm whether the unbelievable story was true. Daniel, who had proudly ridiculed Ethan during the family gathering, stood speechless in front of his own television as reporters described Carter Global Consortium's enormous influence across banking, technology, healthcare, shipping, renewable energy, hospitality, and international investments. News analysts estimated the organization's value at well over $1 trillion, making Ethan one of the wealthiest individuals on the planet. Additional reports revealed that Ethan had quietly funded scholarships for underprivileged students, donated millions to children's hospitals, financed affordable housing projects, supported disaster relief operations, and invested in medical research without attaching his name to any of those efforts. His generosity had remained anonymous because he believed recognition should never be the purpose of helping others. As these stories continued appearing across national and international media, Victoria's embarrassment grew heavier with every headline. She suddenly remembered every sarcastic remark she had made, every comparison she had drawn between Ethan and wealthier men, and every moment she had failed to appreciate his kindness. Realizing that the man she had considered ordinary had been quietly carrying responsibilities that influenced global economies, while choosing a life of remarkable simplicity and dignity. Several weeks after the shocking announcement, Ethan agreed to attend another family gathering at the same country club where he had once been publicly humiliated. This time, the atmosphere was completely different before he even walked through the entrance. Luxury cars still filled the parking lot. Elegant decorations covered the ballroom, and relatives gathered in expensive clothing, but the confidence they had once displayed had been replaced by visible nervousness. As Ethan entered wearing another simple suit, without any flashy accessories, conversations immediately stopped. The same people who had barely acknowledged him before hurried across the room to shake his hand and welcome him with exaggerated smiles. Daniel, who had openly mocked Ethan's career and lifestyle, suddenly praised his intelligence, humility, and remarkable success. Other relatives apologized for past jokes, insisting they had only been teasing him and never intended to cause real harm. Several family members asked for business advice, investment opportunities, or introductions to executives within Carter Global Consortium. Their words sounded polite, but Ethan could clearly recognize the difference between genuine respect and admiration motivated by wealth. Throughout the evening, he remained calm, greeting everyone with kindness while refusing to embarrass anyone in return. Victoria quietly approached him after dinner, her confidence completely gone. She admitted that she had spent countless nights regretting the painful words she had spoken and wished she could erase. The moment she laughed alongside her family. Ethan listened without interrupting, his expression thoughtful rather than angry. He gently explained that the deepest wound had never been the insults themselves, but realizing that the person he trusted most had chosen public approval over loyalty. He reminded her that he had never hidden his character, only his financial position, because he wanted relationships built on honesty instead of status. Looking around the room, Ethan noticed that nothing about him had actually changed. He still preferred simple clothing, still drove the same old pickup truck, still enjoyed ordinary conversations, and still believed that kindness carried greater value than luxury. The only difference was how everyone else now viewed him after learning the size of his fortune. Before leaving, Ethan quietly told his relatives that true character is revealed by how people treat someone who appears to have nothing to offer. Wealth can attract admiration, influence, and attention, but genuine respect should never depend on a bank account. As silence settled across the ballroom, every person present understood that the greatest lesson of the evening had nothing to do with money and everything to do with humility, loyalty, and the lasting value of judging people by their hearts instead of their possessions.